it's showtime. Outside there, and I hope they all can understand us. And so, first of all, I want to say hello to our special guest, Candice Jansen, South Africa.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, me too. And a very, very special hello to Mr. Duncan McFie from Tasmania, Australia, the founder of Cloud Juice.
Hi. Great to be here. Thank you.
And here over me, Mr. Milan Patel from the UK, London. So we are complete.
Brilliant. So welcome everybody.
Thank you.
So, the thing is, I'm really excited to have you all on the show because we are connecting so many countries of that planet: South Africa, Australia, London. You know, this is a really crazy thing for me. But the most crazy thing of all today is for me the water we will talk about. And the first time when I get in contact with this water, I think it's over 8 or more years ago, and it was the older bottle. And what really amazed me was the thing, what, it is made out of rain. So yeah, sure, you can do a water with rain, but hey, who had that idea? What is that? It made me so crazy. And the next thing is, I did not drink it until today. The first bottle.
Oh, wow.
The first bottle, it was the one and only bottle around Germany. So I never opened it. Okay, and then I think 2 years ago, you, Duncan, sent me a new bottle for fine liquids. And this was the first new bottle. And I thought, hey, you have to wait for the special moment. And I think this special moment is today. That's it. So I'm very happy. So this is my story for that. So
Lovely. I made my tea this morning from the Cloud Juice. I was reading the website and I love the idea of making teas with water. So that's what I went in here and did this morning. It's divine.
This morning, complete virgin, resistance was there. We're going live. This is going to be my first experience of Cloud Juice. So I've set up a little bit here to calibrate the palate, but very excited. And this is going to be my first review of it. So yeah.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it was.
I'm not too sure how to feel about a whole bunch of people having this virgin live on the screen, but you know,
you're in good hands. I wouldn't worry.
Honest opinions, Duncan, all the way through. Honest opinions.
Great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So let's start to hydrate the imagination, and Duncan, just give us a bit of a background to what I believe is just a fantastic bottle source. Please inform us.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thanks. So I guess not everyone's going to know where King Island is.
Oops.
Island off the coast of
back.
So we like about we're there. We still got you. Okay. Yep. So we're a remote island, and some of us have to live on satellite here. So just hopefully you look to be dropping in and out. Just yell at me if it stops. I'll just keep talking. So King Island is off the coast of Tasmania, which is off the coast of Australia. And I was banished here 29 or 30 years ago to teach against my will. I didn't want to come here. I knocked the job back 2 or 3 times, and ultimately acquiesced and came here. Once I got here, I thought I might teach for 5 years and then do something different. 6 months into my first year here, I said, that's it, I will be out of here at the end of the first year. And that was 29 or 30 years ago. One of the perks of coming here is that you get accommodation from the education department, and people kept coming up to my hostel to get rainwater out of my tank. because the town water did not taste fantastic.
Oh.
King Island in Australia, King Island has a fantastic reputation for food and produce. We have very famous cheese here, very famous beef, lobster, abalone. And I just had this idea. I thought, maybe we could put this water in a bottle and maybe we could put it on a restaurant table in Melbourne. So I set about researching how to do that, and that took 4 years to get going. And then we launched initially in PET. I wanted to put a glass bottle on a restaurant table, but we didn't have the money and resources to make that happen. So we started with PET, got that going. There was a shop in Sydney we started in 1997. In 98 or 99, there was a shop in Sydney called Thirst for Life, which at the time was one of only 3 water specialty stores in the world. They took our water, they loved it. They were in Paris at Colette, which was one of only a couple of water bars in the world at the time. They asked her to send them their best Australian and New Zealand waters. She sent them 15. They chose 3. Ours was 1. We got into Paris Vogue magazine with just a little tick in one of those pages. A year or 2 later, I was in London visiting friends, and I thought I would go into Harvey Nicks and just see if, maybe they would like to stock. So I rang the buyer from Harvey Nichols, and she said to me, Cloud Juice, yeah, I just had it last weekend in Paris. Now, let me tell you, this was just mind-blowing for me to think that someone actually knew who we were on the other side of the globe. Anyway, so they basically placed an order on the spot. Jump forward a little bit, a guy called Steve Rowe, who I think most of you know, was setting up a business called Wonderfull in Spain to import waters from all over the world. He got us going there and just got us into some of the most amazing places. We got into Claridge's in London, most notable the QE2 restaurants on both of their ships, both the QE2 ships. And most notably, we got into El Bulli in Spain, which at the time was the best restaurant in the world. And it was quite amazing. And then we had this thing called the global financial crisis, which I think we call it different things in different parts of the world. That was, let's just say, 2008 Lehman Brothers. And we've been gradually clawing our way back out of that hole to this moment right now.
Oh, beautiful. I think it's a good place to be.
So you mentioned Steve Rowe with Dry Residue Consulting. Just quickly for the audience, if you can, I would strongly recommend to go onto Instagram and type in Dry Residue. Steve Rowe and his consulting and what he does for the industry, and every day there's a new water that he's putting up. Definitely, Steve is a guy that hydrates the imagination on a daily basis, and I would love to learn a bit more in regards to the bottle design, the labeling, and just the sort of the review that you and Steve have sort of put together to create this. Because
yes, tell us, Duncan.
Yeah, so I mean, Steve has been with us for a long time. He's been helping me for ages, and look, I'm sure most people around the globe dealing with COVID have all had positive stories that have come out of, and this technology is part of it. Even though it existed pre-COVID, I don't think many of us were using it. Steve and I now have meetings once a fortnight via Zoom, and basically he and my commercial manager, who's in Brisbane, they sort of whip me into submission and make sure I keep doing the work to keep this going. But to your question, we wanted to do a revamp of the label because it was over 20 years old. Steve and I had this idea for ages about an umbrella somehow. I've got a guy that helps me in Australia with label design, and I for years had been trying to tinker with it, and we just couldn't get anywhere. We just kept coming back to what we had. We couldn't make the umbrella work. Steve went to a crowd called Studio H in London, who were people that he'd worked with before. and he pitched the idea to them with the components that we were talking about, and bang, we got a literally award-winning label from them, which was just amazing. I think we won an award in Dubai year before last, and an award at Berkeley Springs last year or the year before. It's all a little bit blurry. And we wanted to make it simple and elegant as a reflection of what's on the inside of the bottle. That's the essence.
I think it's absolutely beautiful. I've just got your card here just for the audience. Candice, what are your thoughts when you first see the bottle, the label, you know?
I love it. It really does have that minimalistic look. And I love the paper label. All of these, it's, you know, either screen print or the plastic label, which has to be removed for recycling. And this feel, the minute I opened it, it was different to everything else. Just because that beautiful matte finish is lovely to feel. I must say, it was completely unique in that sense. It was really stunning.
Definitely. I think the paper feel is very important. You know,
So
it's
nice.
like when someone hands you a nice business card, it's that automatic, you remember it, you feel that it's special.
Yeah.
Just the umbrella, the upside down umbrella, simple.
It's so cute.
It is. It's cool,
So cute.
eye-catching, and also you've used a Bordeaux bottle, which is that traditional sort of look, but it just stands out completely. You know, you were to walk past it, you would second look and think, "Hey, hold on a minute, what is this?" I think also what I really like is the description.
Yeah.
It's like the fairy tale at the back, really, really engaging. And I wish other brands would sort of take note of this and tell the story. You know, just by reading this, I want to sample it. I want to know more. So I think yourself and Steve, awesome job. Absolutely awesome job.
It
I
is
really look
lovely.
forward to scoring this on the fine liquid scoring card. It's going to be good fun. And
I love that you say the fairy tale aspect, because we're familiar with a lot of brands and we look at their websites and all the information, the stories. And this one was like a story after my own heart. Just
Yes.
The way that it was just written was so magical. I actually stopped. I went back and read it a few times. And usually I just like sift through all the information looking for key parts. But this was really lovely in that sense.
Just for the audience, as soon as you've read the text on the back of the beautiful bottle, you'll have an automatic smile, a feel-good factor.
I agree.
That's what it does. And Pat, what are your thoughts?
Sitting there quietly.
You know, I'm just a little bit happy to have this show here. That's the first thing. The next thing is, this week, some of my greatest dreams come true. And this is one more. Drinking cloud juice, waited there for years. And, when I first had the first bottle, I thought, wow, hey, now I have a bottle with around 10,000 drops of rainwater from Tasmania. What does that mean? To hell, what does that mean? Rainwater from there. All around there is nothing. Nothing. It must be the purest part of nature you can get. So you cannot sample that. You have to conserve it for forever. So now I have 4 bottles, and now I'm ready to taste it, to sample it. And when you Duncan sent me the new design, for me it was a real boom. And that's what I really mean. It was a real boom. This pureness is really amazing, because it's so much more. It reminds me on Hemingway. It reminds me on good drawings of the old painters. You know, it seems so. How can I say? It seems so simple, but for me, I'm a designer too. It's something I really understand why people say, hey, we have to give these design a prize. So that's no question. Yeah, I really fell in love with that water, and yes, this is what I can add to the discussion. about the bottle design. Yeah, I love it.
Fantastic.
Duncan, can I ask? We've covered the bottle design, which is exceptional. For people who are not as well versed in waters as we are, what is the one thing that is really going to grab them and give them that experience? Because a lot of us, we talk about waters, but for them, still in their mind, water is just water. And of course, we know differently. And we can talk about this because we all have a bottle. But what is that one aspect that we won't find on the website that would really bring people to this?
Yeah, that's a great question, Candice. Look, just before I answer, I've got to say it's really quite amazing to hear all of this from you folks, because, I just live in this world and I've done it for so long. I don't want to say I take this for granted, because I absolutely don't, but it's just amazing to hear the feedback that you're saying, because, we've put a few years into this. So thanks for all your words. Candice, did you, I got my pictures, I just let you know, so you guys are all dropping in and out, so I can't always see you, but I can hear you loud and clear. Okay. Candice, okay. Did you mean from a design point of view or from a taste point of view?
No, from an entire experience point of view. Here in South Africa, we try and get people to understand that water is an experience, from the service at a restaurant right down to the bottle design and then the taste. So when people walk away, it is exactly as they anticipated, in fact, more than they anticipated. That's kind of what we want to give people. So I know, like I said, I made my tea with it this morning, and I love using different waters. And I sometimes on rainy, coldy days, I prefer a higher TDS water, but today the sun is shining, so ironic I'm having cloud juice on a sunny day. But I love that it is just, it's so simple, even the product. I love that just off topic, I'd like to know how you measured how many raindrops go in here. Like, how big are the raindrops? That's the question I have.
Now that is a story that we can come back to. Let's answer your first question first. Yeah. Look, there's no question. I wanted this to be about the simplicity of the product. So that was down to the bottle, that was down to the label. Rainwater in Australia is a fairly relatively common thing if you're outside of a city, but the thing that makes rainwater in Tasmania and particularly King Island special, I don't think I said this earlier on when I was talking about the provenance of King Island as a food production area, we have the cleanest air in the world. On the northwest tip of Tasmania, which is that way, we have a weather station that monitors atmospheric changes, and it's put in that part of the world because we've got 11,000 kilometers worth of nothing out that way to the west. The weather comes from the west. So we can say, I think, we were talking before about how this could be the cleanest rainwater in the world. I don't like to say it's the cleanest rainwater in the world. I like to say that it is some of the cleanest rainwater in the world, because a lot of this rain, it hits us first. We get it first on King Island, and then mainland Tasmania gets some of it as well. But what do I want folks to take away from this? I want them to understand that water is not just water. I want them to understand that water changes with temperature. And it was interesting, Martin Rees, who I guess many of the folks who are watching this would know, the sommelier in Los Angeles, but I think he's might have moved to Las Vegas recently. He had something up the other day on Instagram talking about, do you think is it okay to put lemon with water? Is it okay to put ice with water? In the early days, I was an absolute purist. I didn't want, don't touch it. It must be at room temperature. It must be consumed like this. And as I've gotten older, I have learned, and the food journey that Cloud Juice has taken me on to understand fine dining and what a sommelier does, I now understand that it can be different things at different times. It absolutely can go into tea. It can go into a drop of Scotch whiskey. I was talking to a friend of mine here on the island. She makes gin and vodka. She wants to start sending Cloud Juice off when she sends her booze away, because she wants people to add water to their gin and vodka. Now, I actually wasn't aware of that. I knew about adding water to scotch. And similarly, I mean, I will use a soda stream and sparkle my cloud juice. One day we might even get to sparkling cloud. I never wanted to because it wasn't the truth. I wanted water, you know, so Vichy Catalan, for example, or Chateaubriand that come out of the ground naturally sparkling. I thought you can have a sparkling product that way. I now can see the logic of doing a carbonated product, and we may get there one day. Candice, your question on how did I measure the drops? I went to our local pharmacy, drugstore, if you work in the United States, and I bought a pipette, and I sucked up 1 ml of water, and it was difficult to suck up exactly. I sucked up 1 ml. I counted the drops. I did that 10 times. I took the average, and then I did the mathematics. And if you want the secret recipe, here it is. 1 ml equals 13 drops.
That's lovely.
Basis of titration right there. So
it's so lovely.
Brilliant.
So lovely.
Quick question then, Duncan. So the water and its collection, could you sort of just run through us what the process is to, you know, certify it as Tasmanian King Island rainwater cloud juice?
So in the early stages of this, in that 4-year period when I was trying to figure out how this would all work, because I had a degree in music education, not a degree in food technology. So one of the things that I experimented with was what was going to be the best combination of roof, gutter, and tank, so that what ended up in a bottle tasted the same as if I opened my mouth to the sky. And that took quite a bit of research, but what we have is a 400 square meter polycarbonate roof with a stainless steel gutter, and food grade. Well, initially we had food grade polyethylene tanks, which we still have, but now we have large storage tanks that have a food grade membrane on the inside of them. What happens? It rains, the water goes into the tank, natural, for our friends in France, and that goes into a first set of header tanks. Before it goes into our main storage tank, I do a visual inspection of that, because 1 year, it's happened once, but it only has to happen once for behaviour to change. It was a really big dust storm in Western Australia, and some of that dust ended up on our roof. That was in the 90s or early 2000s. So from that one event, I've changed our operating procedures to a visual inspection on the water before we then pump it into our holding tanks through one filter. When it comes time to actually bottle it, we then pump through a series of 6 filters to go down to 0.2 of a micron. And this gets the water to its absolute truth. And that's what we drink.
Fantastic.
That's beautiful.
As you're aware, my background, nearly coming up to 20 years, is in water technology, water treatment. And what you've just described there is a beautiful process, all natural process, gravity-driven process. But I like how you are inspecting the holding tanks and then putting it through the process of multi-stage filtration, which means there's no chemical additives or mechanical process to this. May I ask, is there any type of maybe UV as the last hit of the water, or there is? Okay.
So we used to bottle on the island all the time, but I don't think we've got enough time in the vodcast to unpack the challenges that my little businesses had. We bottle in Melbourne. We send it out in bulk. That multi-stage filtration process happens into the shipping tank that we send. When it gets to Melbourne, we have a dedicated tank there that's just for us. and we go through the same process again, multi-stage filtration, and then UV before it's bottled.
Okay, lovely.
Quick question: is it are you LED UV or standard bulb UV? So,
sorry, I missed that. You broke up.
Would it be LED based UV or would it be like standard bulb UV? Sorry, it's a bit of a question.
Yeah.
I'm that guy.
I'm not.
He's getting all technical.
I got to say, I'm not positive. I was in Melbourne a few weeks ago, and I was looking at. They've just put a new system in so that when we come out of our tank into their tank, they have an immediate hot flow filtration system that we go through into our holding tank. And then again, it goes through another process in their factory. I'm not positive on what it is. I'm pretty sure it's not LED though, but I got to say, I'm not positive.
Okay.
Happy to find out for people that would like to know.
Okay. Just for the audience, then my review, definitely taking this very seriously with the inspections, the filtration with the UV for a perfect final product. So nice one, Duncan.
Yeah, absolutely. Duncan, I love that you talk about clients who are using the water for whiskies and that sort of thing. We've partnered with a lot of companies in South Africa that are liquor companies, so gins, vodkas, that sort of thing. And it makes the world of difference. So it's so nice to be able to go onto an online store that sells liquor, and then you have your fine water options, and they just cart it off with those deliveries. It really is, it's something that we're trying to get more people here on board to do, because it is that explosive in the difference.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the way of the future.
Okay. So, shall we sample?
Yes.
Yes.
No more patients left. We still have to do it.
Yes.
It's time.
Let's do it.
Will I leave the room for a minute while this happens? Or
No.
stay here?
No, we want to share that with you. That's the reason why we waited all that years.
Very exciting. Also, I love the website with the Bob Marley quotes. Also, some people feel the rain, or others just get wet. Big Bob Marley fan. That just really resonates. So you've really thought about this and what that represents. So just wanted to sort of share that just to the audience. It will be worth visiting the website. It's not just a website. Hey, this is Cloud Juice. There's a beautiful story, backstory, the why, and the understanding of this product. So definitely worth visiting.
It's lovely. I must be honest, I've had a few sips of mine. Here in Joburg, it's quite cold at the moment. So even though my water is at room temperature, it's quite chilled. But I do feel that like velvety element that you talk about, and I'm almost dead sure if it was slightly warmer, perhaps this afternoon, that velvetiness will actually come through even more, which I'm excited about seeing a little bit later.
Okay.
So while you're having a little samples, I will say, Millen, I wish I could take credit for that Bob Marley credit, but that was Steve. Steve did the lion's share of the work for that website. And he wrote so much that he is just an absolute wordsmith, and he was able to capture the absolute essence of our entire business. It just goes to the dedication that he's given to Cloud Juice over the years and how well he knows me. It's been fantastic. We might come back to the website a bit later on after you've
Cheers.
Cheers.
Again, I love this product because it's not heavy at all. And like I was saying, on days like this, it's so nice to have a water that doesn't have a distinctive taste in between things. It's just a perfect balance. You guys are like sipping away. I love it. A lot of my clients will say it certainly doesn't taste like tap water, which is the first response that I always get, because the chlorine element is always there, And it's beautiful.
Right. This is the first time at room temperature about, where are we? About 16. The first experience of this, it's like silk. Velvety, soft, silky. It coats the mouth to a kind of hydrophobic layer across the palate. It just glides. It's like a glider, entering with no turbulence, just pure, pristine. This is pretty sexy. This is really sexy.
Okay. Now that is one I have not had. I've had the silk before. I mean, I love it when people pick the silk up in it. I've not had sexy, but I'll take it.
Genuinely, I speak my mind, and the first thoughts was I would be having a romantic time with my wife, experiencing, because the candle lights, that it's incredible. I've not experienced something with that immediate difference.
It sounds like the water just took you on holiday, Manon.
Brill. Because I heard, because you two have already experienced it and you sort of described it, but I was like, okay, yes, definitely.
It's beautiful. And I love that it's quite thin. Sorry, Duncan, it's actually quite thin, which is lovely. It's so light. Literally, if you swirl it in the glass, it doesn't have that heaviness at all.
There's no with waters with say higher calcium. I find it's a bit rougher on the palate when you roll your tongue on the top of your palate. You get that kind of like coarse, sort of gritty feel. With this, it's still smooth when I do that, and that's my sort of personal test to see it's smooth or not. I find Fiji water and Magnificat very smooth, but they have a higher TDS of say 210 or around that region. Yeah. This is even smoother without that silica content, which is incredible.
Surprisingly,
I did not expect that. I did not expect that at all. You associate silica with smoothness. And let me just
so then maybe velvet is the right word to use as opposed to a more
sexual velvet.
Very nice.
Or sensual velvet.
Well, I mean, that's interesting because look, when it comes to wine and sommeliers, I'm not so good at the description of wines in terms of taste and the nuts and everything else and the different tannins and so forth that come out of it. I am about texture. Texture is the thing that I can zero in on, and velvet was the word that resonated with me that really did describe it. So it's interesting to hear you guys saying that.
I think that's spot on.
Silk. I'm also happy with sexy. I'll just reiterate that.
He's going to add it to the website.
I had a really good friend who was working in Indonesia and in Bali as a tour guide, and I used to send him water from time to time. And he worked for Intrepid Tours. So I think Intrepid's the world over, they use local guides and everything to take people around. He would give cloud juice to local folks, and they could not believe that it didn't have sugar in it, because they were picking up the sweetness in it as well.
I would agree. There is definitely a sweetness to this with the velvety side of it. Definitely.
I agree. Such a nice product, Duncan. I'm so glad we had this opportunity to chat with you, because it's so nice to be able to talk, through the water with you, because our experiences as sommeliers are so different to yours. Like you're saying, it's so nice to get that feedback, and we're so nice. It's so nice to talk to you about the things somebody else wouldn't understand.
Yeah. No, and it's amazing to be able to hear this back. I mean, I'm a little concerned because the bottom right-hand side of my screen is very quiet, but he's finished his glass.
Yeah, he's
not quiet.
Yes, I really enjoy listening to all of you, because these guys over me here on the screen are water sommeliers, and so I always try to compare what are they talking about. This is not my language, because I'm mother language is German, and so I always try to understand what are they talking about, what do I taste, and for me now, I'm a very very big fan of the low mineral waters. I like every water beneath 200, and then less than better for me. But I am really amazed how many varieties these low mineral waters have. I think most people think, okay, it's a low mineral water, it must taste clear, or it must taste clean, or it must taste like nothing. But I love them all, but I'm really amazed about the difference every water has. And it was, I don't know, it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I heard Martin Riese say something about this water, and he said, oh, it's a rainwater, and so there cannot be so many stuff inside. And so I always had that in my mind, and I thought, okay, so it's a rainwater. It's the first rainwater I ever drank. And this is not what I expected. I never expected this smoothness, and I never expected this harmonic mouth feel. I really like what is now in my mouth, and it was a bath for my tongue. So it's more than I don't want to talk. I just want to enjoy, Duncan. That's what I can say to that.
And I think also, just for the audience, the vocabulary to describe water, there is no right or wrong, and there is no defined vocabulary to, describe the taste of water and the sensation that it provides. So, yes, Candice and I are water sommeliers, aqua mineralogists, but there is no right or wrong. It's your personal feeling, connection with that water. Yeah. So, I encourage everyone just to go out there and, with friends or family, have a sit down with Cloud Juice or any of the other waters that you see on Steve Bro's Instagram, because there are plenty, to go and experience these and just share and create that vocabulary is very important.
Yes.
So,
yes, I think this is a really necessary part. There is no right or wrong vocabulary. This is really necessary to know. And there is one more thing. I talked to an audience at Bled Water Festival this week, and Mr. Marco Gaich, the man who organized that, asked the audience. No, and the panelists of the discussion before, what do you think about water sommeliers? And I was very, very astounded that so many water experts were a little bit irritated from this question. And this was a moment when I realized, hey, we are a little bit in a bubble. And this bubble is, we made this first experience what a real good water can do with you and with your thinking about water. But if this never happened to somebody, he does not understand what we are talking about. And this is the difference between drinking water for hydration or drinking water for a good experience. And that's the point. Most of the people outside there just drinking and they don't understand. And I really invite them to come into our world, just to take time, take a cool glass, maybe a white wine glass, to give water and value, and then take time. Just take a sip and try to taste what is happening. And this is the difference between hydration and, hey, doing something special. Yeah. And this is what I really like to bring to the people. And bottles like Cloud Juice and content like this water is the answer, therefore. And this can open eyes, can open tongue, can open the heart for this kind of story we are telling.
Definitely. Yeah. I think totally agree with you, Pat. And it's creating that drinking water lifestyle. You just touched on water for hydration. Majority of people think of water as hydration, but at Fine Liquid and with Candice at Origin Flow, it's creating that drinking water lifestyle. So one, you're environmentally mindful about where the water comes from and learning about the source, the terroir, the experiences. We touched on previous episodes of, for Cloud Juice, I would like to have this at maybe a wedding or a special event, or, you've got friends and family. We're sort of hopefully coming out of lockdown. There's a huge amount of friends and family I've not seen for a long time. And majority of people, from what I've understood during this COVID pandemic, are on a healthier tip or looking at alternative ways to celebrate outside of alcohol. And I believe
I agree.
Products like this really do tick that box, but then also it's that conversation of sitting on a table and talking about Mother Nature and how this is sourced, and just really being connected, because there's great stories from great whiskies and great wines. I find it very difficult to describe to my children a sugary soda or a sugary drink that's made in a factory. There's just nothing there. But I could spend about an hour and engage with the kids or the family with Cloud Juice, and it would definitely hydrate their imagination. So each time they look at a cloud, they understand the cycle.
It's really interesting you say that, Millen, because years ago we did a 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes Australia. We're doing a story on waters, and we were the first one to feature on the show, and they got a helicopter and they put a camera operator hanging out the door of a helicopter filming where our roof is, flying around the coast of King Island. They had me right on the coast near some cliffs, which is just about 1 kilometre from where our roof is, gesturing out to the great Southern Ocean, and that's where our water is produced. And it was just this big show. And then we sat down to do the face-to-face interview, and the guy who was doing the interview was, I would say, probably the best journalist that's ever interviewed me, from the point of he just knew his stuff, and he was just firing questions at me. And one of them was, we were in Germany at the time, and we're in an online shop in Germany, and it was quite expensive. I think back then it was 22 euros at this one particular shop online. And he said to me, basically, how can you justify that kind of price? And I said, I didn't go into the fact that we didn't make that 22 euros, be very clear. But I made the point that it was for folks who wanted to have maybe an opportunity to have just one little piece of decadence. It's an opportunity where someone could have one of the finest products in the world that is actually affordable to have, so that you can be drinking what a billionaire might have on their table. It's affordable luxury, and it's something that you could have for a special event. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Duncan, when we talk about, sorry to interrupt, when we talk about the experience of water, it isn't based on price, because you can't pay for an experience like that in a currency value. It's very much down to the premium quality of water. So when people, will ask us as well, how can you justify it for the price? We completely steer away from that, because the experience really, I would pay my arm and my leg for certain experiences in life, and that's exceptional. And water is the most important conversation that we should be having. So Millen's right, we should be having these conversations around the dinner table. Water should be a topic of conversation. And hopefully that'll start. And products like this give that a space for people to be able to discuss.
You're spot on, Candice. Absolutely spot on.
Yeah, it's great to hear, because I hadn't really considered. I don't think I'd fully appreciated the conversations that could flow from it. I've always been about the flavour and the texture and the marketing, the bottle and the packaging. I hadn't. My mum did say to me at the very beginning when I started this, she said, you're on a winner here because you've got a story to tell. Coca-Cola doesn't have a story to tell. You've got a story to tell. Now, she said that she said that to me probably 27 or 28 years ago. On King Island, I chair the King Island Brand Management Group because we're about protecting the brand of King Island. Some research that King Island Dairy, who's our cheese manufacturer here, did a few years ago showed that King Island is the #1 most recognised food product brand in Australia. And so we do some stuff to try and protect that through our local government. That's given me some doors into people like Brand Tasmania and tourism people. And I've learned a whole bunch more through this. And a lot of people say, being able to tell a story is an important part of this. And I'm like, yeah, my mum told me that 30 years ago.
Mum's always right though, eh? Mum is always right.
Yeah.
So,
but around the dinner table and conversations with kids and stuff, that's fantastic. I hadn't really thought of that before.
Just a sort of example with Fine Liquids, we've been doing virtual water tastings for families, private events that purchase some waters, and then we'll go online and describe the waters. And the interaction from the children is incredible. Like genuinely, you can see this sparkle in their eye of, oh wow, water, it's from this volcano, or it's from this deep aquifer, which is like 200 kilometers down, rainwaters, you name it, the taste of it.
They are brilliant at that.
Where we've done a few, I received such a great satisfaction that I've definitely changed that child's perception of water to respect it. And I believe that will help them in their daily activities of being mindful with water. And I think that knock-on effect will occur for generations. And I believe it's our jobs as sommeliers, people that are just passionate about water, and bringing these stories to the attention of the audience. It's an important thing to do. And I want to talk more about cloud juice to a lot more people, definitely, because it's a very exciting water.
And kids are so perceptive, Malin. It's incredible. My little one, she's 5. I had 2 waters at different temperatures on the table, and she said she wants to try mine. I said, no, it's exactly the same as yours. And she said, no, but yours is a different temperature. And she was right. I was like, well, that's true. Because mine came out the fridge.
I think Candice, she's learning from the best here, hey?
She is. I was impressed.
Very good, very good. I think same sort of experiences at home with my 2 kids. Kyan, he's always saying, when can we do water testing or water tasting? Which waters are these, etc. So it definitely helps with their geography, because he's got very good grades for his geography at the moment as well. So there's more to it than just hydration.
Yeah, and we need these kids for the future. I know that sounds cliche, but we do need water advocates who know and understand water. In 30 years, we're going to need these kids. So I think we should consider ourselves, all of us, that we are raising kids that are going to be impactful in the future. Definitely.
It's a really good point, Candice. It's interesting because I do still teach at school. We have a school on the island that goes from kindergarten to year 12. And I teach music pretty much all the way through. If you're testing, I supply water to the school. Well, okay, it's true. And recently, because of a few challenges here, we did run out of stock on the island for a little bit. And I had a lot of kids, I'm not making this up, I had a lot of kids come to me and say, where's cloud juice? I have to drink this other water and it's not the same.
Oh, shame. I can believe it.
It is just amazing. And when the kids grow up a little more and they have to go away, and look, one of the many challenges we've had over the years is distribution and marketing. Distribution's been a big challenge for us. We're right on the edge of sort of getting back in the game. We've been trying to get an online shop going, and I can't begin to tell you the torture of getting that happening. Anyway, it's all getting close. We're close to picking up some distributors all over the place again. So this is going to be available to the world soonish. And anyway, I just think, yeah, sorry, go.
Yeah, and may I just ask you, I just touched on you're a music teacher, okay? And the way I like to experience waters genuinely is I will pour a glass of water and place my water in front of my speakers at home if I'm playing a record. And I'm a true believer of the studies of Dr. Emoto, how music and water absorbs good energy, okay? To the audience, some may find this a bit unbelievable, but I'm a true believer in it, that water absorbs positive energy, negative energy. So maybe for your class is pouring some and playing music to it and whispering something very positive to the water before you consume it. And that's a nice way that I wanted to share with you.
Milan, can I send my plants to your house as well?
Yeah.
They need some water and music.
Yeah, no.
Look, I've looked at his work as well, and I'm wide open to this stuff, 100%. I know that some of it hasn't been peer reviewed, but I think he's about to do it all again. I think I read recently. Look, don't get me wrong. I teach a lot of fantastic kids, and we've got a really big group of. I have run 2 concert bands at the school, and I've got this group of boys that are really into saxophone, and I've started playing sax in the last couple of years. Tuba player by trade, but I've taken to the saxophone lately. So we've been doing some work to try and push them along. As much as they are doing a fantastic job, I don't think I would want to put water near their sound. Not Alex, not you, mate. You're all right. You're all right. Yeah.
So interesting. You know, Milan, before we finish off, I just wanted to come back to, you were talking about the experience of having this sort of water at weddings and that sort of thing. It is a great starter water for a dining table. I don't think it should be an only water, because the experience is so nice when you have like a cloud juice and then build your way up, or have something completely different. But this is a perfect starter water at a restaurant. Definitely.
Totally agree. Starter, say at a wedding or a restaurant, but towards the end, a gift that you could give to your guests.
Stunning.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's nice.
And the paper is magical that comes with it. I mean, I think we were very excited
yes.
about the umbrellas.
That paper actually comes from Spain. It comes from, we didn't realize this at the time, but it comes from about 100 kilometers from where Steve lives. Unbelievable.
I would love it as wallpaper, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, look at Duncan's wallpaper. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, look, I need to tell you the story on that. Steve said I normally have photos of the French Alps behind me, and Steve said to me, mate, you can't. You got to get your snow photos down. Get some boxes of cloud juice and put that up there. He had also said to me a while ago, we need to wrap this water in tissue paper, which I think I gave you guys.
Yeah.
So I just thought I would decorate the back wall with tissue paper, and I said, but I might just sneak a little bit of the snow in there to speak the truth.
Just in regards to the beautiful paper the bottles were wrapped in, prior to this show, Candice, Pat and I had a conversation a couple of days ago, just, a quick meet-up, and we all just immediately said the same thing together. Oh my God, have you seen this paper? It's cool. So yeah, it's these are like real life experiences of just receiving cloud juice. And again, just back on to Steve. Thank you to Steve for putting us together. I've had the privilege of meeting Steve at the Fine Waters Summit in Stockholm in 2019, and I must say, what a positive vibe he is. He truly is just a guy that's just full of smiles, and just I just like the way he thinks and puts things together and elevates water and that drinking water lifestyle. So yeah. And
anybody who elevates water, we're good friends with.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, before we leave and go back into our weekend, there is one more thing I want to add. Fine liquids as fine water distributor for Europe does not have a rainwater in its portfolio, and I think that's not a good idea. In long term, I think we should help you with your distribution, and we should find a very good place for cloud juice in our portfolio. Actually, we don't have it in stock, but we are playing with the opportunity, the possibility of getting cloud juice into our portfolio in long term. So
Definitely.
for everybody out there, we as portfolio distributors, Origin Flow, Fine Liquids, and Ashley Epperson with Delicious Drinks, we are all working very hard to build an infrastructure for our customers to satisfy the demand. And it's something very special to think about how we manage that. Sometimes you have to bring a water like cloud juice because it's the one and only. And sometimes you have to look, hey, what is the regional water which is very unique and which can tell the story in the same way, and you can be sustainable a bit more with that water. And so we have to put all these aspects together. And but all in all, I think these economical infrastructures are growing right now. When I came in contact with Cloud Juice, there was just this shop in Germany, and nobody talked about those waters. And I did not know from Martin Riese, I did not know from Water Summits, I did not know from people talking about the rarity of water, stuff like that. I didn't notice that we have a water problem on this planet, which is increasing. And now there are so many things happening, and this is one thing of all these good things which are happening. And so I'm very happy to have you here on the show. I am very happy for the technique that made that possible, and I'm very happy for all that being connected with each other, because I think in the end this is the key. And I want to close my part with the words, hey, most of us are fighters for themselves, and my my opinion is, hey, we should understand us for a category. We are all a new category beneath the big players. And as long we don't understand that we are this new category, and we have a very, very big consciousness for what we are doing, but as long as we don't understand us as this category, we don't have the power to do real big things. And so this is what I want to say for my last words. Now it's up
Brilliant.
to you.
Yep. Just from myself, got some exciting news that I'd like to share with the audience, Duncan, Candice, and Pat. On Monday, Fine Liquids are going live with Steph's Pack Lunch on Channel 4, the live TV show during the day.
Wow.
And I was selecting the waters that I'm going to be presenting. There's a number of well-known chefs, TV presenters on this show. And I would definitely 100% off my first experience of this, it will be going live as part of the tasting with the audience. So thank you for Duncan for introducing us to such a beautiful water. So thank you.
Oh, that's I know. This has just been amazing to hear. This kind of feedback is
It's honest.
Just
it's honest.
It is honest.
I get it.
I could be a bit, if I don't like something, I'll be very vocal about it. And this is all honest feedback.
Oh, it is. It's an incredible brand.
Thank you. And yes, we will talk about distribution. Yes.
Definitely. Duncan, it was so lovely to meet you. We must do this again. I'm so excited to see where your brand goes, in the next couple of months, in the next couple of years. And being distinctively a rainwater, I think, is definitely something that our portfolios need. And it'll be nice to see what markets come about with that demand for water, for rainwater. It's going to be stunning.
Well, great to meet you too, Candice. And look, I just get a sense that with you folks who are moving in the water sommelier world, when we started this business, there was no such thing as a water sommelier. Martin Rees came along. Michael Marsha, of course, who we all know,
Definitely
opened my eyes to food and water pairing, for example. We were getting calls from Europe when we were sending the water to Europe in the early 2000s. We were getting calls saying what food best paired with the water. And I mean, I had never eaten in a Michelin star restaurant, and I was kind of like, So when we had the first high-end bottled water summit in 2008, that's when I first met Michael, and he just opened my eyes to what was possible. And then it was also at that trip I got to eat at El Bulli, and that opened my eyes to what 3 Michelin stars can do to food. And since then, my life has changed, and here we are now talking with water sommeliers, with specialist water distribution people. I mean, the world is changing, and I let me come to that selfish bit for a minute. I think selfishly, we are really on the cusp of going somewhere, but it is only because of the collective that that's going to occur.
Yeah, I would have said the same thing. You know, even us as distributors and sommeliers, we couldn't do what we do if it weren't for products like yours. We would be limited in selection. So it's very much a connective.
fantastic. Definitely, we're sort of wrapping up. Mine has been just wow. Yeah, it's like wow. I feel very happy. We're heading to the beach a bit later today, and and I'm super happy that this has happened. So thank you all, and again to Steve putting us together, Pat with the Warsprung technique, with the innovation we move forward and putting it all together, and yeah, it's good. It's good.
I'm gonna take the last half of my bottle and see if I can share it with 1 or 2 people on my journey today. I sometimes carry around water with me, and I'm like, would you like to try some rainwater today? Let's see what the response is.
They will not forget the experience. That's all I'm saying.
They certainly won't.
All right.
And you have a crazy South African walking up to you asking you to taste rainwater. I think that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
We'll give it a go.
So I thank you, and I'm saying goodbye to South Africa, saying goodbye to Tasmania, saying goodbye to the UK, saying goodbye to the audience. We will see us next week on Saturday. We are talking about Icelandic glacial with the fine liquids community. This will be together with Ruriko Suzuki in Tokyo, and with this one, you're right. And we'll be together with Justin Takashi Glasscock in Los Angeles and Mr. Milan Patel. So have a nice time. Stay healthy and stay lucky. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Come to the soar, her string life. Find satisfaction. Yeah, that's right. Go with the flow. Enter the stage. Hello, it's showtime.